It was almost Christmas. Santa was in his dressing gown, standing in his kitchen, staring at his wife, Mrs. Claus. It had been 3 years now. Despite the smell and the flies, he couldn't bring himself to move her body. Not a day went by that he didn't go over the events of that night. Something in him had just snapped.
I'm so sorry.
Everything was falling apart. He wasn't sleeping. He had bad conjunctivitis that caused his eyes to spew yellow gunk in vast quantities. Now all the reindeers were infected with a horrific flesh-eating disease. They required daily injections of a toxic substance that had to be imported from the Ukraine. Christmas, as it had once been, was dead. Kids these days barely even believed in Santa Claus. He himself had even begun questioning his own existence. Was this life? He injected himself with some of the reindeer medication, something he'd taken to doing to take the edge off things. He decided to give himself a triple dose. Soon he was overcome by a feeling of euphoria. He felt powerful and got a sudden rush of inspiration to spread Christmas cheer. He needed to save Christmas, and he wanted to do it now. Yes, it had to be done now. It was so clear. He juiced up the reindeers and headed into the city. It was late at night, and it was a nocturnal crowd that he was met with. Unruly youths, drinkers, prostitutes. He announced he was spreading the Christmas cheer.
The Christmas cheer! The Christmas cheer!
A maxi taxi was beeping at Santa and the reindeers to get off the road. The driver screamed he had to get to the hospital. Santa stuck his head in the window. A woman had just given birth in the back seat. The newborn opened its eyes and started screaming. The woman started screaming. Santa saw the baby morph into a large earwig. Santa freaked. A man with love in his heart put a hand on Santa's shoulder to pull him away. Santa believed it was a tentacle from a demon. He pulled a knife and screamed, "Don't touch me, demon!" Everyone stopped. Santa froze. He slumped to the ground.
I'm so sorry.
The police came, the reindeers were shot on sight. Santa was locked up. In the darkness of the cell, he thought he could hear giant scorpions crawling up behind him. They disappeared back into the darkness every time he spun around to catch them. He kept spinning around, screaming at the giant scorpions.
Get away from me!
He lost his balance and fell over. He felt the giant scorpions crawl onto his back and into his anus. He felt them crawling up through his insides. They reached his head. He was certain they were trying to take control. That would mean the end of Christmas. He had to save Christmas. He had to save Christmas from the giant scorpions he could feel inside his head. Santa bashed his brains out against the cell wall. He'd saved Christmas.